The Period Place Podcast.
Shark Week. Riding the cotton pony. Yeah. I have salsa in my taco. Yes.
Rag Week. Oh,
Rag Week.
Oh, that's bloody hell.
Bloody hell. Bloody hell, Harry.
The Period Place Podcast.
Thanks to our mates at You by Kotex.
Okay, we are back.
Another week in the chair.
Episode 4. Tegan here.
Dani here.
All right, so today we are talking periods and taboos. So
Taboos.
just
It's a
like
big one.
your dirty knickers, the stuff that maybe we don't normally talk about, but we should talk about.
Because it's okay.
Yeah, so
This
all-
shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens. It does.
It
You're
does.
exactly right. And in this episode, we're going to be talking to a very special friend of mine, Dani Fennessy. She used to work with me on My FM.
Yep, back in the day.
But she left My FM, is kind of on her own journey, paddling her own waka now. She has her very own podcast called Diaries of a Dyke.
It's bloody awesome.
And it's awesome. And she identifies as a pansexual, I believe. And so it's just like an interesting topic about, because we're going to talk about sex on a period and all that kind of stuff. Because there's a lot I want to know. Because I mean, when it's just one person in the relationship, because obviously cisgender, I just go out with guys, you know, it's only one person this is affecting.
Who you like. You just
Imagine-
like dudes. You want to be in a monogamous natural relationship.
Yeah.
There's pansexual. There's polyamory. There's all different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to have sex on your period, to talk about your period, to engage with your period.
Yeah.
And we've got to break it all down in this safe space.
And imagine being in a same-sex relationship and two people's periods are affecting it in some way, shape or form.
Yeah. Does that
Oh.
mean that for 2 weeks out of the month you're not having sex?
Yeah, that would suck. And what if you have an irregular period? What if your periods go for longer?
Exactly.
How often can you actually have sex?
Exactly.
These are all the questions I want to know.
Well, do you know what? Dani's here.
Periods and taboos. Let's get into it.
Let's run it straight. Hey, it's Danika here. Just before we start the podcast, You by Kotex believes a period should never hold you back, which is why, as well as keeping you covered and stress-free during your period, they're pumped to support us in smashing stigma and starting positive conversations to support people with periods. They also love the Period Place podcast and want you to know that you can catch replays along with more info on them and their products at You by Kotex, AUNZ, on Facebook, Instagram, or on their website. Thanks for the support, team. All right, back to the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. This is really cool. And, you know, you called the right person when you said you wanted to talk about taboo subjects, because I'm all about that. Since I've left My FM, I've started a podcast called Diaries of a Dyke, which DOAD, or DOAD. Some people don't really know how to abbreviate that. But you know what? However you want to say it, I'm not going to complain. That's all good. So I started that for the LGBT plus community, just because I felt like there was nothing really out there at the moment. No one was talking about it when I was growing up.
Yeah.
No one was talking about it. I felt really alone in the world. So, so I started that, which was really cool. But, here I am right now. I mean, just because I've got cool connections and friends and stuff and still catch up
And you
with
got a
them.
cool name?
Yeah.
Danny and Danny.
Danny and Danny.
Great
How
name,
good.
great name.
And why I got in contact with Danny, not only because you have your podcast, Diaries of a Dyke, and you've touched on so many subjects that, like, you know, people are uncomfortable talking about it. And I think it was a really cool safe space that you were starting to create. And that's what we're trying to do here as well.
Created an island.
Yeah, she created a safe island for people who may relate to you or whatever. But as friends, we've always been like super open and like really like there's been no topic that we're shy talking about, and that's kind of the culture we had at our workplace and especially in our friend group. And so I thought you'd be like the perfect person to bring on so we could just talk about stuff, because there's stuff I want to ask you about your life that, you know, like I've got no one else to ask, but I think I always say this, I want to act as like that ignorant person who doesn't know anything. So I'll ask the dumb questions or whatever it may be. But yeah, I just want to talk about like the taboo stuff.
There's no
myths.
dumb questions though, and that's
There
the
is
thing.
no such thing as a
no-
dumb question.
And also, I'd rather like somebody just ask me, rather than all these like myths and things go around, and you know, like the myth, and
hinting
it's
at
like,
things and sort of being like,
Yeah.
is it, what about when you just
Yeah.
cut straight to it?
Let's
and it's
just
like
do it.
lesbians just scissor? No, no.
So just for
That's
anyone who
not a-
doesn't know, do you want to clarify how you identify?
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not really one for labels as such. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just me. But if you wanted to put a label on it, some people feel a lot more comfortable so that they can, you know, identify. I'm pansexual, so that means some people might be like, "What the heck is that?" So you get a pan, and then no. So pretty much, it doesn't matter on like if you're a male or a female. It's just like if you're cool and we get along, you know.
Totally.
It doesn't matter what, you know.
What's
what
the
you got.
difference then between pan and bi for everybody out there who doesn't understand?
to be honest, I don't think there's not that much of a difference, but it's more of got to do with like the whole inside.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really cheesy, but
it's like a connection, right?
Yeah, it's like a connection. So like say if I meet someone, like say if I meet you, Tegan, and you're a chick, I'm not going to just be like, oh, you're a
she's
chick.
a chick now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess bi really plays into that binary of I like boys
gender.
or I like
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
Whereas, pansexual is I just like the person inside.
Or a trans,
Yep.
you know? Or
Yeah.
a trans or,
Yeah.
So I'm just really an open book.
Yeah, it's the soul connection.
Yeah, a lot of people say complicated, but hey, up to you.
Yeah.
Avril Lavigne.
Be so complicated. So obviously we want to theme this around periods. So what's your like experience with periods and how did you get educated about it? Did you know about it before you had yours? Like how old were you?
Man, we're going back now. I
Only 2 or 3 years, babe.
I actually remember the very first day I got my period. Do you guys?
Yeah, I do. I
Do
do.
you?
Very, very like it's like it haunts me.
I wonder if like every woman remembers that day. I just remember I was bra shopping with my mum.
And
and
so
I
you
was
were like fully in the female moment. And for those who can't see my fingers, I'm doing
Quotation
female
marks.
in quotation marks.
yeah. I think I was probably like 12, 13. And I was in the bra shop and I hated shopping. And I was like, oh, Mum, why do we have to do this?
Absolutely cannot relate to you there.
And
at all.
I just had these pains in my stomach and I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, what is this? Something is crawling outside my stomach. And I had never had those feelings before in my stomach. Obviously, they were cramps, looking back now. And I remember saying to Mum, I was just like, Mum, I need to go home. Like, I need to go home, not feeling well. Got home, looked in the toilet. Sure enough, there was like blood. And I just remember thinking, I must have seen movies or heard it, you know, but I'd never really been educated on it. Like, to be honest, my mum had never sat down with me and been like, this is how you get a period and this is what happens. Like, it just never really happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I never really asked my mum about it and I never really thought about it until now we're having this conversation.
Well, you know what you got to do when you go home from the podcast? Call your mum and say, why did you never tell me about my bloody period?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. And I had terrible periods when I was like a teenager. I had it. So I used to take obviously I got it once a month and I used to take like 2 or 3 days a month off school because I was just in so much pain, like the cramps.
Yeah.
I used to just feel really sick, couldn't move, just had really, really bad pains all through high school. And then I went on the pill. To stop my periods.
Yeah.
But I was really uneducated in that whole area. Like when we talk about, do you did sex ed in school? You know, when you
I actually didn't get any.
didn't?
No.
We
I
had the
got-
banana thing.
Yeah. I got all my sex ed from my older sister and my mum, pretty much. Mainly my mum, yeah.
Yeah, see, well, same, because I was in the PE class and we had sex ed, but yeah, like you said, the condom on the banana. Who the heck uses that? I've never used that before. I never ever got a banana out and put a condom on banana. Have you guys?
Yeah, I so feel you there. And like just on the like topic of sex ed and like obviously like it's kind of like an assumption, and I think this is ingrained to us like during our school years, and that like sex as a subject is pretty taboo anyway when you're younger, but then the fact that like when you're on your period, that's 1 week a month you don't have sex, like you're not allowed to, but people do. And like that's like a thing, and because so you're in a same-sex relationship right now,
Yes.
and so obviously in a normal, I hate the word normal. Sorry, I shouldn't have said the word
Heterosexual?
normal. In a heterosexual relationship, you know, the woman has a period, and I don't know, the guy might say, "Oh, that's the week I'm getting a blowjob" or whatever. You know what I mean? And I know that's really like rough, but like I'm just like, no, I'm grumpy. I ain't doing that shit. But in a same-sex relationship, like. There's 2 times a month you guys are having periods. Does that affect your sex life? How does that affect your sex life?
Well, honestly, it just depends. Like every woman is different.
Yeah.
Like it also depends on how much time my partner and I are spending together.
Yeah.
Like she's away traveling a lot for work.
Yeah.
So, example through lockdown.
That'd be fun.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. That was probably. We've only really like synced up a couple times.
That was going to be my next question. Do like in same-sex relationships, is that normal? Do you guys sync up?
Well, it's no different to friends, really.
Yeah.
I find I sync more to my friends.
Yeah.
Which is, but I'm not really like every 28 days also. Like I'm quite irregular. Like sometimes it'll be every 5 weeks, maybe 6, like depends how stressed I am. Like my body works off stress. So like I said, it's real. You just don't know when we're going to sync up, for lack of a better word. But so for me personally with my period, I get real hormonal like the week before I start like actually bleeding. Yeah. Like that's the worst for me. Like I'm just like, don't talk to me. Just like, touch me. You lie over there. Like let me eat my M&Ms. Like just let me do my thing. Like so that's the time for me. Like probably the 5 days before, and I start to feel those feelings, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my period.
Then the cramps start to build.
The cramps start to build. But the cool thing about being in a same-sex relationship is she gets it. Like she knows what that feels like.
She knows what's coming.
Yeah. And within a heterosexual relationship, he might sympathise and be like, oh, babe, you're right, doing some chocolate.
He can show empathy, but he can't live it.
Yeah, he can show sympathy, but he can't relate to it at all. Just like we can't relate to getting, punched in the balls or something like that.
Yeah.
Like we can never say, oh, that hurts more than getting punched in the balls because we don't know. We can't relate to it.
Yeah.
So, that is a good thing about being in a relationship with the same sex is that she gets it. So when she says, oh, I hope you're okay. Like, hope you get it. It's like, okay, cool.
Thank you.
You get it. I know you get it.
And when you say to her, hey, I'm feeling like shit because of my hormones right now, I need some space, she's not bringing any of that stigma or any of that crap into it. Like, bitch has got her hormone problems. Like it's just,
no, she's out the door. She's
gone. Sorry, I got a flight to catch. I'm very important. She knows exactly how to feel like that. Yeah. So in some ways, like that's awesome. You've always got someone in your corner who understands what you're going through and should bring you a heat pack.
Yeah, but I mean, was the question about sex? It was about sex, wasn't it?
Sex, and then I was kind of going to follow that up with, because we have periods in a heterosexual relationship, generally because we want to have a child. That's the whole purpose of having a period. So that's why a lot of women would keep their period. Have you and your partner ever considered this, like any kind of situations where you'd be on any kind of birth control that just stops your period completely because you don't actually need it?
I love this question.
I can't really speak on her because I'm not 100% sure. But for me, I have been in the past, and it just kind of made things a little bit meh for me.
Yeah.
Like it took me a long time to get regular again. So now, because I was on birth control because I was in a heterosexual relationship, and I was like, no way I'm getting pregnant when, back in those days. So it took a long time for my body to kind of adjust back to being normal and getting my periods again. So now I think that it's okay for me to just kind of like let it run its
work
course.
through it.
Yeah, they're actually weirdly enough getting better. I don't know if that's a thing like with age. I have no idea. Like I'm not qualified in that area to talk about it, but they're slowly they're not as bad as when I was a teenager. Like in the way of cramps, hormones. Yeah, they're still bad.
I found hormones have gotten worse. Physical pain and the amount I'm bleeding is less as I've gotten older.
Oh yeah,
I'd agree. Yeah,
every one of my periods is different.
My period was kind of normal growing up, and then obviously I got on the pill when I was in my early 20s, or maybe when I left school, and I was on the pill for a bit, and and I always had this trouble with the pill, and then but anytime I was in a relationship, it's just like you had no choice. And I've got a real thing, and this is just me, but I've got a real thing is I'd rather not anything too invasive in my body. So I don't know, IUDs and stuff they kind of freak me out because it's like, oh my God, there's this thing that's not a part of my body that's in my body.
Always there. Yeah.
And so I had issues with the pill. I thought that I was super hormonal, and I thought the pill was just ruining my life. I went on a different pill that wasn't funded. It ended up costing me $180 every few months, as opposed to the $5.
Yeah.
Turns out it wasn't just the pill that was making me hormonal. It was actually my life situation making me depressed, but that's okay.
But we're getting
but
I love that I'm at a point in my life now. Yes, I am on the pill, even though I'm not in a relationship and I'm not actually sexually active at all. But I'm on the pill, and it's just I know. I know.
Are you okay? Is she okay?
She's not okay.
Is she not?
Yeah, she's messaging people, and people are no, you need to heal.
Self-love, sis. Self-love is really good. You should practice it.
Yeah, but I love that at 24, finally, I'm on the pill. My period is regular. I don't really get that many cramps. It's just such a formula. It just happens so normal every single time. But it took me that long. I've been having a period for 13 or 14 years now, and it's taken that long for it to finally be normal. So if your period's like real whack, like that's all good because you'll get there one day.
I think the most important thing is just to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Because you're the only one that knows what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So,
like we spoke about on previous episodes, it's about that spectrum. If you're happy to if you're happy to free bleed naked under a full moon, then power to you. If you want to have a period, have your ovaries taken out, whatever it is, it's okay. It's acceptable. It's perfect for who you are as long as it's what you want out of it.
Have you guys had sex on a period?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You got to remember, so we'll go back to that sex thing. So you got to remember, if I've got my period and my partner's got my period, that's 50% of the time that we can't have sex if we're not having another period.
That's what I was thinking. That's 2 weeks out of a month.
That's 2 weeks out of a month. And I'm sorry if if I'm good to go, then I'm good to go.
Girls got to eat.
Yeah. if you say that you haven't had sex on your period, you're lying.
Well,
you're lying.
There's some people who don't. There is. I have to admit, even with me, but you haven't.
I haven't, not fully.
I've
definitely had sex. Like maybe it's just happened.
Yeah.
Or and I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Or it's been just at the end when it's just like discharge or whatever. But I've never
just spluttering along.
Yeah. It's just but I've never actually had in the middle of my period. Full-blown sex. And I don't think that's I think some of it comes from maybe a little bit of shame from me because that's my 1 week that I'm
true.
don't look at me I don't want to be touched whatever. But I think it's also maybe not having a partner that is comfortable with that, which
that's
is
a big part of it,
and that's something that they need to unpack, but not my responsibility because they're obviously not in my life anymore. But I don't know, I just never have.
What about in the shower?
Well, people think shower sex is all hot and cool. Yeah.
Oh, I just went straight to porn. It's a real porn thing, I think.
For period sex porn?
Period sex, I reckon.
Is there such a thing as period porn? Is there porn? Surely. There's a niche for everything.
Surely there'd be some
diaper porn, so there's got to be period porn.
Is it adult?
Oh, I haven't watched it. It's just
not judging.
No, not judging. Hey, each to their own. Everyone's got something that will tickle their peach. I don't know, but
wow, that's a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. I really wish that maybe I have ever been in a safe space where having sex on a period is normal. But I feel like maybe that's the thing. Me and my future husband, if you're out there, that's something we would explore and be totally comfortable doing. I just don't think I've been in with someone that I've been comfortable enough.
Oh, 100%, because it's quite an invasive thing. Yeah. You're not only hormonal, you're bleeding.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, it's another woman.
Yeah.
So she gets it and she doesn't care. But then again, we're not going second day into it, diving in, it doesn't work like that. And also with us, sexual intercourse is a whole lot of different things.
Yeah.
Not just, penetration.
Not just the one boring thing.
Not boring.
Missionary.
Wait, do you have foreplay?
Yeah, of course. Wait. Okay, what do you want to know? Just later. So
I think that sucks though, that I feel that shame.
Yeah.
I just, and I didn't.
That's what I mean, where have you internalized that from? Because, girl, you are beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Your peach deserves to be loved 24/7.
The girl deserves it. This is a really rough term. I don't know if you've heard it. We used to say it in our old workplace, but we say, when a girl's horny, she's got a hungry little handbag. Gotta look after my handbag. I honestly just until I just spoke about it just then, I didn't realize that I was carrying kind of shame from it. I think it's that whole periods associated with hygiene, that awful clinical word, and I think that's maybe why I feel a bit dirty.
Totally.
Well, do you know what? Actually, also, because I've heard this chat before.
Yeah.
That when you've been around as well, with people saying, when they talk about it in the light where they're like, oh, on a period, oh, yeah. When you just hear certain people talking about it in that kind of light, and that's shameful.
And you're going to internalize that shit. It's going to happen,
Well, people, they throw it around. They throw the saying around. They're like, oh, was she on a period? Yuck, bro. Or you hear all these things and it's just like, yeah, I bleed. So what?
So does your mum.
Yeah. I'm gonna carry children in the future. There's a name for it, but
just put a towel down and go for it.
Go for it.
One
Run it straight.
One day you'll be lying there and you'll have your period, and you'll be lying next to the love of your life, and he'll be like,
one day
he'll be like, babe, and you'll be like, babe, I got my period. And I'll be like, it's okay. And you'll remember this conversation.
Yeah.
And then
And
I'll
you'll be like,
that's right. Danny told me. Danny told me. I'd
Yeah.
find that. I'd find that space.
You'll be like, oh my God.
The Danny's told me.
This is that time.
Yeah.
Wait, can I tell you a really embarrassing story? I just remembered it right
Yeah.
now about my period.
No.
No.
This
No,
is
we
not a
don't
safe
talk about
space.
periods here.
Yeah, this is not a place to talk about periods. I'm
So
sorry.
taboo. I just remembered it. This is probably one of the top 3 most embarrassing times of my whole life.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm here.
So when I was in high school, I did quite a lot of sport,
Yeah.
but I didn't really like to use tampons.
Right.
So I was probably like 15, 16 years old. So I
Yep.
used to use quite a lot of pads back in those days.
Surfboards.
Yeah, surfboards. But well, this is so embarrassing.
There's no such thing.
Safe space. A safe space.
Yeah, I just talked about having sex and with my period. What am I talking about? And I remember this one time I was in the gym and there was probably like 200 students, teachers, whatever, in the gym were playing volleyball. And, I was just kind of coming to the end of my period and I had like one of the like mini pads on, with the
liners.
Yeah, the liners.
Yeah.
Yeah, the liners, And I had some quite baggy shorts on and we were playing
I see where
volleyball.
this is
We were
going.
playing volleyball and I was like, cool, doing a spike, whatever. And then I looked down
Oh,
when I
fuck,
did a
bro.
jump and I looked down. My pad was on the ground. It had come out of my undies and it was on the ground. And
Okay, first of all, can we just talk about what was wrong with the sticky factor of your liner?
come on
Because
now.
that's disgusting.
yeah, I don't know. Because because I was like playing sport, maybe like the sweat. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it was just like a budget.
Budget brand.
Yeah, budget brand. I don't know. But I had foul. And it was honestly probably for like 5 seconds, but I picked that. I've never moved so fast in my life.
You didn't think about leaving it and pretending it wasn't yours?
Nah, my natural reaction was just to be like, and I just like put it in my pocket
Yeah.
and then just ran to the toilet.
Has
I don't
anyone
know
ever
who
talked to
said
you about it?
Nah, no one's ever talked to me about it, but there would have been people that have seen it. I don't think from what I remember, there wasn't much blood on it, but that I will never, ever, ever forget that day. And so from that day now, if I ever wear a liner, I'm just like when you put it in your undies.
Just to the move.
No, I
move
get the
test.
flap
Like
ones
this,
now,
yeah.
when you can
Yeah,
like
with the
flap it
wings.
over.
Yeah, the
Oh.
wings.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad what
Yeah.
the thoughts we have to like think, It's just like we can't help it. It's our bodies. Like we bleed once a month.
It's the patriarchy. It's always the patriarchy.
Fuck the patriarchy.
But it
am I
is.
right?
It's, male bodies are the same. Same thing happens every day.
Yeah.
They wake up, they get a boner, they go to sleep, that's it. They poo out the same hole, they wee out the same hole. Nothing changes. Whereas the female body, shit changes constantly. Like we're emotional, we're hormonal, we're this, we're that. Again, I'm talking in these binary terms. But, we get our period not every 28 days, maybe 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, depending. So because
Surprise.
we don't know, yes, surprise, because we don't know what's going on, it's different.
Yeah. And the whole, the scare of missing your period.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I've only ever
have
had
that.
one massive scare.
That's
One-
okay for you. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you're like,
another
oh,
week of
sweet.
no bleeding.
Yeah. No period.
I had one massive scare, and it was one of those times where, like, my period is so regular. Like, it always comes when it normally comes. And this time I was kind of like, oh, I haven't had my period. This is weird. Thinking it had been just like a few days. And I was trying to figure out when I had my period. I sort of told the last person I'd slept with, like, hey, we definitely use protection and stuff, right? And they were like, yeah. Oh, wait. Maybe we didn't. Like, they might, because we might have had, I don't know, we might have fornicated more than once that night. And one of the times we didn't. And so I was like, oh my God. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
You remember this time. We were working together when
remember
this
you telling me
happened.
this.
And I had the worst anxiety. And I remember I realized at night that it was in fact 2 weeks late, not just 4 days. And I got a pregnancy test. I ran I was at work, and I remember being at work, and the whole show I was just like, or just so you know, it wasn't actually not that long ago. And the whole show I was just like, oh my God.
Want it over.
Yeah, I went over, and I ran home, drove home as fast as I could, did the test, and it was negative. And I was like, okay, thank God. But sometimes, it's a false negative, so I was still freaking out. And literally half an hour after I took the test, my period came.
Do you know
and I was like, you bitch.
That has
Talking to my
happened
period like
to
it's a person.
so many of my friends.
Right?
And that's happened to a lot of my friends who have, I'm in my 30s now, I'm old.
Yeah.
So many of my friends who've been trying for kids have, it's like the stress of trying for kids stops the period from coming. They do a test, and a couple of hours later their period comes.
you're
It's
just like,
incredible what your body can hold on to. What was yours holding on to for 2 weeks?
I don't know. Stress.
Stress?
Yeah. from
Happy
that
times?
relationship. Yeah. What?
I reckon she knows, periods. I reckon she's just like,
She does.
Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
I'm going to mess around with you a little bit.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I hate when I'm like going to R&V or something and I'm like, I've planned my pill out so that I don't have a period while I'm at R&V, and then it comes. I'm like, excuse me, how rude.
Yeah.
The 1 week in the whole year, you're not allowed to come. Yeah.
Well, because I actually, now I think about it, I used to do that quite often with the pill, like skip my periods because the doctor was like, oh, it's okay to skip it because that was the whole point of being on the pill because I had horrible periods. Yeah, just a lot of people do that. You know, they just skip their period.
I love that. One of the things you said earlier in our chat is how like scissoring is not a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's my favourite.
It's the
That's my
funniest
favourite.
thing. And I didn't know this until
Yeah.
she told me. She's like, scissoring, it just doesn't work.
Well, no, okay, so I'm only speaking on behalf of me, but
Yeah.
that's my favourite thing because I feel like a lot of people, this is what they think. They think that lesbians just scissor, and that's
Well,
it. That's
they
how
just-
they have sex.
They have no
That's-
idea.
Yeah, but that's like a whole like porn thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, scissoring, yeah, scissor sisters. Whatever. Yeah, it's just no.
I just had my mind blown again. Scissor Sisters?
Yeah.
What?
Have you never heard of that?
Well, I know the band, but I'd never
Yeah, like
Figured out that
This
like,
is the language
there's-
we like use in our old
Yeah.
workplace
So
to
there's-
say stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's like two chicks that are like, you know, they're like, oh, so they're scissor sisters.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so that's a new one for you. It's just not appealing. Like, you
Doesn't
gotta
float your
think
boat.
about it. You know, like
It's just
you guys
I feel
have
like
clips.
It's the logistics.
yeah.
yeah, I don't get it.
Is Carl still here? Is he like walked out?
No, what? No, I was just hiding behind the screen.
Carl's like, I don't scissor my wife either.
Sorry, Heidi.
So you go, you know, like you've got clits, right? So you know,
Sometimes.
and, yeah, like imagine you like rubbing against. Well, I don't know if you guys have had intercourse with a woman before, but if you're like, you know, you're rubbing against another clit, like you know, like scissoring, it's just not that nice.
Yeah.
Like it's just no, and it's
you-
awkward.
Yeah.
And your legs are in the air, and the view's not appealing.
Yeah.
Like I just
it's
don't
just straight
know.
leg.
Yeah. Like, you know, if you put your phone here and you see your like your double chin, that's what you'd see.
Okay.
Like, you're like, you know,
I have a question for you. Would you rather scissor or have sex on your period?
Have sex on my period.
Yay!
That's progress. That's progress.
Hashtag work girl.
Yeah, I reckon. Like, that's funny. I see now. I'm like, okay, I need to go.
No, you want to
Wait, I need to take that off the box.
I'm going to listen to your show
I mean,
tomorrow.
there's a heap of people who wouldn't have done it for whatever reasons, but you know, for however you identify, for how you do it, whether you do it with yourself. I mean, like sex toys and being on your period. You know, is that something that like you know have either of you? Where it doesn't, you don't need to talk about your sexuality here, but you know, using sex toys on your period, is that something that you've ever done?
I've
Yeah,
never used a
100%.
sex toy.
Whoa!
Oh, we need to book another hour after this.
So welcome to our new podcast, Tegan's Sex Life.
It's funny. I've got no issue with it. I think
Yeah.
it's just this thing about like
This hasn't been your thing.
buying it. And I've also heard all the things like, oh, like if you have a vibrator, like it desensitizes
Oh,
your
no,
nerves
it
down there.
resensitizes.
But like, I think I've kind of learned, like as I've gotten older, like that's all shit.
It's all
and like if
shit.
you want to have a vibrator, like go for gold or whatever. But I don't know why. And then I think I've just maybe with some of the people I've been with in the past, they
And
have
that's been
as
their
a man
issue.
have like an issue with
Yeah.
it. Are you part of that page, Girl Related After Dark?
Yes, I think I am, but
It's on Facebook.
I'm
Honestly,
a part of it, but I muted it because I couldn't handle that.
that page has been like a source of so much like education for me, knowing that like the whole word kinky is like not even a thing, because you know what, every girl has got
Everyone
something
likes
that they're
something
into.
different.
Like
Yeah, oh,
everybody,
100%.
like it's actually
Everyone's
not.
different.
It's
Except
less
adult diapers,
normal
that's
to
weird.
not be kinky than it is to be. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
So wrapping up with bloody periods.
Bloody periods, sex, taboos, stuff we don't like talking about, but we should normalize in conversation.
Yep.
Just thank you so much, Dani, for running it straight as always.
no worries. Woo, man.
I feel like this was just a normal catch up for
Yeah,
me and you, but
it was.
you know, it was great.
That's what we want this podcast to be, a place for people to come and sound like they're listening to their mates. And if they've got further questions, reach out to who's in your little island. Reach out to the period place. Reach
Yeah.
out to people you trust. Reach out to your parents.
Yeah.
Start asking those questions.
And don't be afraid to ask them either, because I guarantee that if you're thinking about a question, somebody else is thinking about it too.
And someone's already asked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys.
Alofa atu.
Oh, kia ora.
Oh, that was real.
Yeah, and that was awesome. And I know I was a little bit whakama. I was a little bit shy about like some of the topics here. Like obviously, I've never had sex on a period,
But I think
like
that comes with age and wisdom and experience.
exactly, we're all learning here.
We're in our 30s, babe. You're not.
Yeah, well, exactly. But you know, and what I love about that whole conversation is like now I actually feel like I'm in a safe space that maybe in my sex life at some point I won't be so embarrassed to do that because there's actually nothing wrong
There's
with
nothing
it.
to be embarrassed about it. And also,
Exactly.
the thing is, if you want to do it, kapai. You
Yeah.
go, girl. And if you don't want to do it, that's okay
That's
as well.
totally cool.
We're not saying you have to. We're just saying you have to be okay with the variety of choices out there.
And be okay with your body and all that comes with it. So
Yeah.
a special shout out to Dani Fennessy. She is an amazing friend, and
Thanks for coming and sharing so much about yourself outside of just periods.
And if you want to see what Dani's up to, she's got her own podcast, which we mentioned, called Diaries of a Dyke. So you can find that on Instagram. It is Diaries of a Dyke, spelled D-Y-K-E.
Yep.
And it's an awesome listen, and you can find out more about her. And she's got Dani Fennessy as her handle on Instagram as well. So that wraps up Periods and Taboos. The next episode, Periods and Poverty.
Catch you next week.
Catch ya.
The Period Place Podcast.
Thanks to our mates at You by Kotex.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at The Period Place. Hosted by Danika Revel and Tegan Yaworth. Special aroha to Sarah Mickelson. Produced by Carl Thompson and project managed by Heidi Thompson, both from Blue and Ginge Creative.